Hey Kipsters, it's snack time, and I love cookies. I want to eat this whole cookie. See how I have one whole cookie? You like cookies too? Well, here, I want you to have a piece too, because I like to share. So I'm going to split it in half. What do you notice when I split it in half? Now there's two pieces. A fraction is an equal part of a whole. So if I take one half of my cookie, now I just have a fraction of the cookie. I have one equal part. I tried to make these parts equal because that's fair. I don't want to take a whole big piece of this cookie and leave you with just a little baby one. When I split it in half, I split it into two equal parts. But remember, when I put all the parts back together, that equals one whole cookie. When we talk about fractions, we can think about splitting a cookie into many different pieces. The number on the bottom of a fraction tells us how many pieces there are all together. It's important to know how many equal parts you have all together. When we have two equal parts, we talk about halves. When one part is shaded in, we have 1/2. When both parts are shaded in, we have 2/2. Notice when both halves are shaded in, the whole circle is shaded in. So 2/2 makes a whole. When we have 3 equal parts, we talk about thirds. When one part is shaded in, we have 1/3. When 2 parts are shaded in, we have 2/3. And when 3 parts are shaded in, we have 3/3, or a whole. And when we have 4 equal parts, that's when we talk about quarters or fourths. When one part is shaded in, we have 1/4, 1/4. Those mean the same thing. When 2 parts are shaded in, we have 2/4, 2/4. When 3 parts are shaded in, we have 3/4, 3/4. And when all 4 parts are shaded in, the whole thing is shaded in, we have 4/4, 4/4. When we're writing fractions or finding a fraction to match a picture we see, we can follow 3 easy steps. 1, how many parts are filled in? Here in my picture, I see 2 parts filled in green. We write it first or at the top. So I see I wrote 2 for my 2 parts that are filled in. Step 2, how many equal parts are there in total? That's when we figure out how many parts there are all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. This circle has 4 equal parts. Even though only 2 are filled in, I count all of them to figure out how many equal parts there are in all. We write that last or at the bottom. So here I wrote 4 for my 4 equal parts. Step 3, say the fraction from top to bottom, or from first to last. Here I see 2 at the top, then 4. So I know it's 2/4. I could also say 2/4. Let's practice down here. Remember, how many parts are filled in? How many equal parts are there in total? Say the fraction from first to last or top to bottom. Let's look at this one. How many parts are filled in? I just see one part filled in. There's only one area, and it's all filled in. 1. How many equal parts are there in total? This is not divided or split into any other parts. There's just one whole part. So my fraction is 1 out of 1, 1 whole. Let's try this one. Step 1, how many parts are filled in? I see 2 parts filled in pink. I'm going to write that number first. How many equal parts are there in total? I see that this rectangle is split into 1, 2, 3 equal parts. This time, instead of doing top and bottom, I went first to last. So I make this slash before I write the 3. Then I say the fraction from first to last or top to bottom. 2/3. Let's try this last one. How many parts are filled in? I see 1 part filled in. So that number goes first. How many equal parts are there in total? 1, 2. This square is split into 2 equal parts. Remember, when we have 2 equal parts, we're talking about halves. So now when I say the fraction from top to bottom or first to last, I'm going to think halves. I have 1/2 shaded in. Let's do a speed round. See how fast you can figure out the fraction. How many parts are shaded in? 1, 2. The number at the top is going to be 2. How many equal parts are there in total? 1, 2, 3. The number at the bottom is going to say 3. Let's say the fraction. 2/3. How many parts are shaded in? 2. How many parts are there all together? 2. 2/2 or 2/2. How many parts are shaded in? 1. How many parts are there all together? 3. 1/3 was shaded in. How many parts are shaded in? 1. How many parts are there all together? 4. 1/4 was shaded in, or 1/4. How many parts are shaded in? 1, 2, 3. How many parts are there all together? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3/4 is 3/4, or 3/4 that were shaded in. How many parts are shaded in? 1. How many parts are there all together? 1. This is 1 whole. How many parts are shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many parts are there all together? 4. 4/4 is 4/4, or 4/4. This time I want you to say it. How many parts are shaded in? 3. How many parts are there all together? 3. How would you say this fraction? 3/3. How many parts are shaded in? 1. How many parts are there all together? 2. Let's say the fraction. That's right, 1/2. Last one. How many parts are shaded in? 2. How many parts are there all together? 4. So it would look like this. 2 parts shaded in, 4 parts all together. How would you say this? You can say 2/4 or 2/4. Give yourselves a pat on the back, 'cause I'm all that, 'cause I'm all that.